what's your take on this kind of fresh round of Chinese regulatory scrutiny on big tech giants, which has been ebbing and flowing for the last several years now?
I think all tech companies and founders been basically walking on eggshells, and there's a lot of different changes of various different security law, privacy, regulatory. It's just been very, very tough, not just for the Alibaba and Tencent of the world, but also for earlier stage. Many of them been waiting to get listed in the US. But a lot of the companies that I'm aware of either wanted to go through SPAC. The Chinese company now is changing their course, thinking about Hong Kong, thinking about Shanghai. So it's been really, really tough for the tech industry in China.
So there are two narratives going on here. One is that China tech is so competitive, could supersede the United States, and the other is that the Chinese regulatory crackdown could destroy some of these Chinese tech companies, which is true.
Well, I think that first and foremost, some of the biggest Chinese companies, including Alibaba, like most of their business actually are not even in the US. Many of my friends don't even know what WeChat is or Alipay is all about. So I would say, the big tech giants, the core business is still in mainland China, is absolutely a parallel universe in terms of tech. Having said that, I think every single new companies are thinking this is not going overseas. This is about global markets, similar to ByteDance. From day one, they wanted to be international, but the international Chinese version of TikTok is Douyin. It's a completely different way of operating in terms of product. So a lot of the Chinese company want to respect international market, comply with international law, but they definitely have the ambition to be global companies from day one.
Well, that brings me to the TikTok that we in the United States know, which is constantly brought up as doing things better than Facebook and Google and all of these US-based tech companies. What do you think?
There's no better or worse, and obviously in China, there's not much of a data privacy as such. So therefore, in terms of AI, definitely, I think the ability of machine learning in China is insane. And this is not just for social network. In fact, for electronic vehicle, there's just crazy growth. I saw news that BYD actually now, in terms of number of EVs, has more than Tesla in some sense. So there's no competition. Just the way you do machine learning in English versus Chinese is quite different. So I don't think it's not a win-lose situation. It's really just a parallel universe in terms of the internet.
What about Web3? Who's winning?
It's definitely not in China. There's no NFT, no Bitcoin mining, no crypto trading. It cannot be offered to Chinese citizens. So a lot of many of my friends in China who's in Web3 have moved to countries like Singapore or the UAE. Those are some of the hotspots. And I think for race,
you're saying China could get left behind.
In some sense, I think in Race Capital, we certainly meet a lot of founders that left China, but now in Singapore. So they're a Singaporean company, but they want to continue to, so the company like StepN, which built on Solana, many of the exchanges from the Binance, that's in some sense why FTX have moved from Hong Kong to the Bahamas for similar reason.
What do you make of the crypto volatility right now? We just had a headline cross that Coinbase is now dropping out of the top 10 exchanges in the world by volume.
And if you look at the top 10 in the world, many of them actually originated from China, regardless the Binance, Huobi, OKEX, of course FTX. And I think Coinbase, to start with, less FTX actually started in Hong Kong. The world in terms of trading users and volume outside the US is actually much larger than the US. So it's not surprising Coinbase sooner or later will sort of drop below. But having said that, top 5 in terms of number of users, Coinbase is definitely still top 3. But just in general, I saw before I came over, I think the total combined market cap, trading volume is now back to over 900 billion. So it's not as bad as 30 days ago, but still, I think the rest of the world, particularly in Asia, is now catching up beyond just the U.S. trading volume.